Challenges. Challenges to some people can be very scary because challenges fight back from allowing people to get to their goals and achievements. A U.S. News article talked about challenges, and he summed it up very well in that challenges, they bring out the best in everybody. They keep those people from staying safe and sound in their own cozy bubble, and they allow people to go out and take that leap of faith. And they bring out the full potential in people. And when you go through more and more challenges and you're successful, it builds confidence and it builds character and it shows people who they truly can become. For me, one of my toughest challenges I had to go through is flight school and becoming a private pilot. And this isn't like one of those everyday classes where you go in one day, you learn, you recycle everything you learned on a test, and then it's done. No. Becoming a private pilot is the foundation of someone's flying career. If you were to forget anything, such as regulations, rules, it could be very costly. You could find yourself in a lot of trouble. This is something that tests me every day, and it really does bring out the best in me. Now, there are a couple main key points about flight school. The first one is that there's a 6-month training period. And at the end of this 6-month period, you have to take an FAA written exam. You have to go through ground school, learn just about all the regulations, rules, maneuvers, and then you are tested on them in a 60-question test that you may take in 2 hours. And you must get at least a 70% on it to pass. Now, what a lot of instructors emphasize is that for every hour of flight time, you should have around 2 hours of ground studies. And now, ground study isn't the only thing that you have to become a pilot. You have to have at least 40 hours of flight time to take your check ride. Now, this is mandated by the FAA. They have put a strict rule on this 40 because they don't want inexperienced pilots going out there and possibly getting themselves killed or putting others in harm's way. Now, in these 40 hours, you're not just being with an instructor practicing maneuvers like steep turns, stalls, and 8s on pylons. No. You get to do so much more fun stuff. The one that really comes to my mind is the first solo. Now, first solo may not seem like a very big deal to people who are not in aviation, but to that person making that leap in aviation to make their first big implant, the solo means everything. It's that shot in the arm of adrenaline because you are the sole manipulator of the flight controls. There's no one else who can tell you what to do. It's you and the airplane, and it's fairly simple. It's just 3 takeoffs and landings. Again, it seems like no big deal, but it's everything anyone could want it to be. Any aviation lover could have. And also, there's the solo cross country. Now, a cross country in aviation is a flight that is longer than 50 nautical miles. For example, mine, I flew from Eagle Creek Air Park to Terre Haute. And it was a little nerve-wracking at first because, again, you're alone, which is all cool because you're the one flying the plane and you think no one can tell you what to do, but to get there, you gotta talk to air traffic control. And it can be a little nerve-wracking because these guys, they're the professionals. They do this every day. And as a student pilot, only having very limited experience talking to them, it can be very scary. But as a student pilot, if you ever feel that you're in trouble or you get nervous, just remember to tell them that you're a student pilot. A student pilot is not expected to know everything because they're still learning. Air traffic control will take it easy on you. They'll give you a little help and boost you along your way. And then there's night flights. My personal favorite part of flying. Just being up in the air, clear skies, all you can see are the lights below you and the beautiful stars above. It's to captivate it and to see it, it's incredible. Actually, I got a little story. When I flew over to Wisconsin, I got vectored over Lake Michigan, and it was a clear night, beautiful. You could see the stars. But if you've ever flown over water, it is just black. You cannot see anything, and it almost matches with the sky. So I just remember flying in, and it looked like I was flying into a black hole, and it was so nerve wracking because like you don't have that relative motion of understanding am I in a turn or not. But at the same time, I was so just at a loss of words of how cool it was. And then once you've completed your 40 hours and you are ready for your FAA check ride, your instructor will write you off. He'll give you a couple tips. Just don't worry about it. You'll be nervous, but it's okay. Because there are two main books you are going to want to remember. There is the practical test standards. And basically, in this book, it tells you what the FAA examiner is going to ask you, what he has to and what he can ask you. So this gives the pilot a very good understanding of what to expect to be asked. And in that book, it shows you what they can ask you. This book, the oral guide, will tell you all the answers to those questions. As a pilot, when I was going through this test, I memorized this book like it was a Bible to me. I went through, I highlighted, underlined all the key facts to make sure I knew what I was getting myself into. And now the oral portion of the test is about 2 to 2.5 hours. It is a brutal grind. But again, it's just the examiner sits down. It's almost like a conversation test. He'll ask you this and that. He's not just going to come and be like, tell me everything you know about this. It's almost like he works his way through questions. And then the flight portion is another 2.5 hour portion of just all the maneuvers you've learned. I enjoy flight school with all of my heart. It is a huge passion in my life, and I want others to experience what everyone in aviation sees up in the air. It's wonderful. I highly recommend it. Thank you for listening.